Welcome to the Christian Liberation Organization. Thank you for joining us for AE27. Perish, Destruction, Perdition. AE27. Perish, Destruction, Perdition. Greek words translated. 622. Apolumi, a verb, being utterly separated without extinction. 623. Apoluon, noun, the destroyer that utterly separates without extinction. 684. Apolei, a noun, causing someone to be cut off from well-being, but not being. Scripture example 1 of 5. Revelation 18:14. The fruit that your soul longed for has gone from you, and all the things which are rich and splendid have gone from you, and you shall find them no more at all. Note 1. The word translated as soul is the Greek noun psyche, which means God-breathed individual personality. Note 2. The word translated as splendid is the Greek adjective lampros, which means gives light. Note 3. The word gone is what is translated twice in this scripture. They are two different words in the Greek. The first means to simply go away from. The second is the first perish reference. First century version, Revelation 18:14. The fruit that your God-breathed individual personality longed for has gone from you, and all the things which are rich and give light have been utterly separated without extinction from you, and you shall find them no more at all. Scripture example 2 of 5. Hebrews 1:10-12. And you, Lord, in the beginning laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain, and they will all grow old like a garment. Like a cloak you will fold them up, and they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will not fail. Note 1. The word translated as in before the beginning is the Greek preposition kata, which means down from. Note 2. There is no of before the earth or your. Note 3. The word translated as cloak is the Greek noun parabolion, which cloak is true but has understanding in English of hiding something. The Greek is referring to just a covering. The first century version, and you, Lord, down from the beginning laid the earth's foundation, and the heavens are your hands' work. They will be utterly separated without extinction, but you remain, and they will all grow old like a garment. Like a cloak you will fold them up, and they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will not fail. Scripture example 3 of 5. Note, the second Greek word in this study of perish is used only one time in Scripture. Revelation 9:11. And they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. Note 1. The first three words translated are, and they had. This is derived from a single Greek word, echo, which means to have, to hold. There is no and or they in the Greek. Note 2. The word translated as over is the Greek preposition epi, which means upon. This implies what fits, given the apt contact, and emphasizes the response or end result. The precise nuance is only determined by the context and by the grammatical case following it, i.e., genitive, dative, or accusative case. Note 3. The Greek word translated as angel means messenger. It can be a heavenly being, a fallen heavenly being, or human. Note 4. The Greek word translated as of thee is the single definite article thee. Note 5. The Greek has no definite article thee before name or apollyon. Note 6. The Greek word translated as he has is the same word as in Note 1. There is no he in the meaning. First century version, to have as king upon them the messenger the bottomless, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but in Greek has name destroyer. Note, this scripture is referring to the locusts of Revelation having the destroyer as their king. Scripture example 4 of 5. John 17:12. While I was with them in the world, I kept them in your name. Those whom you gave me I have kept, and none of them is lost except the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled. Note 1. The phrase in the world is not in the Greek. Note 2. The Greek word translated as the first kept is the verb terio, which means to preserve. Note 3. The Greek word translated as the second kept is the verb phulasso, which means to guard. Note 4. The Greek word translated as son is the noun huios, which means son by birth or adoption, but also sharing the same nature of their father. This is speaking of Judas Iscariot, having the same nature as his father, Simon Iscariot, the Pharisee that Jesus healed of leprosy, but remained hard of heart against Jesus. The first century version, while I was with them, I preserved them in your name. Those whom you gave me I have guarded, and none of them is utterly separated without extinction, except the one sharing the same nature of his father, causing others to be cut off from well-being but not being, that the scripture might be fulfilled. Scripture example 5 of 5. Revelation 17:8. The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. Note 1. The word translated as beast is the Greek noun therion, which means he of brutal nature. Note 2. The word translated as you saw is the single Greek verb horeo, which means to see or to perceive. There is no reference to the you in the translations. It is an aorist indicative active verb. In the aorist tense, it describes an entire action as a single event at a point in time. Indicative means it is a statement or a question. Active means the subject performs action upon the object. Here it is making the statement that the beast came up from the abyss as a single event at a point of time. Note 3. The word translated as was is the Greek verb eimi, which means I am. This refers to being or existing. The context determines whether it is present or timeless. This Greek word is an imperfect indicative active word. Imperfect means it is something that is continued, repeated, or habitual. Indicative means it is a statement or a question. Active means the subject performs action upon the object. Here, it is making the statement that the beast exists continually to perform actions against those on earth. Note 4. The word translated as is before not is the same word that is translated as was previously. Here it is in the present. Note 5. The word translated as bottomless pit is the Greek noun abusos, which means just bottomless. No reference to a pit. The English meaning of bottomless is without a bottom. The English meaning of pit is a large hole in the ground. Thus, the term bottomless pit is an oxymoron. Note 6. The word translated as go is the Greek verb hupago, which is a compound word meaning lead away or under. This is not saying they go, but are being led. It is also saying they don't go, but led away under an authority which refers to a change in relation to where the beast was. Note 7. The word translated as to is the Greek preposition eis, which means into. Note 8. The words when they are not in the Greek. Note 9. The word translated as see is the Greek verb blepo, which means physically see with spiritual perception. Note 10. The word translated as is at the end of this verse has a future tense, so is should be will be. The first century version. The brutal nature that came as a single event at a point of time exists continually and not active, and will ascend out of the bottomless and lead away under God's authority into being cut off from well-being but not being. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, physically seeing with spiritual perception the beast that was and is not and yet will be. CLO encourages everyone to take this understanding of these words and apply them to every scripture that includes them.